Hello there! Today I will present to you the third group of homophones. I'm going to give you explanations and, most importantly, examples. I want you, at the end of the lesson, to be able to use and distinguish them easily. And now I will teach you some of the homophones that begin with the letters P to Y. If you missed my previous lessons about homophones, you can check them here. In those two lessons, I presented some examples of homophones from letters A to O. Okay, shall we start? Just at first, can I ask you a question? Do you know what homophones are? Let me remind you. A homophone is a word that has the same pronunciation as another word, although it has a different meaning and spelling. Like, for example, one, nose, nose, right, right, peace, peace. For example, right, right. Turn to the right. I write novels. Or another example pair. Piece, piece. A piece of cake. They live in peace. Okay, the first pair of homophones for you today is principle, principle. One of the meanings of the adjective principle is to be first in order of importance. For example, Iraq's principal export is oil. That was my principal reason for moving. This is the principal road between these two cities. As for a principle, it is a basic idea or rule that explains or controls how something happens or works. For example, the country is run on social principles. The organization works on the principle that all members have the same rights. The principles of the criminal justice system. The next pair is Q, Q. The word Q is mostly used in the UK, whereas in Canada and the US we usually use the word line instead. So, a queue is a line of people or vehicles that are waiting for something. For example, there was a queue of people waiting patiently. Are you in the queue for the tickets? There is a queue of companies waiting to sell the product. And this queue is a hint or indication about how to behave in particular circumstances. For example, a consultant gave us a queue. They started washing up, so that was our cue to leave the party. Follow her cues, and one day you'll become a great scholar. The next pair of homophones is reek, reek. This verb, to reek, means to have a strong, unpleasant smell. For example, the locker room reeked of gym clothes. His breath reeked of garlic and onion. The whole thing reeks of hypocrisy. The phrase to reek of hypocrisy here can be used if someone pretends to believe something that he or she does not really believe, or this person can persuade others to do or say something what he actually doesn't support. And this verb to reek means to cause something to happen in a violent or even uncontrolled way. For example, the recent drought has wreaked havoc on crops. Uncontrolled financial markets continue to wreak one disaster after another. The new tax could wreak havoc among smaller companies. Let's move on, and what I'm going to present now is this group of homophones. So, so, so. Let's start with this so. It has several meanings actually, like to such a great extent, extremely, very much, etc. For example, it was so calm there. Thank you for being so patient. I'm so tired that I could sleep in this chair. The next so is a verb that means to join two pieces of cloth together by putting a thread through them. For example, my mother taught me to sew. Would you sew on these buttons? I had to sew up a hole in my jeans. As you can see here, to sew up means to repair. And one more so for today. This verb is used to describe the action of putting seeds in or on the ground so that plants will grow. For example, we'll sow this field with wheat. Sow the wind and you'll reap the whirlwind. Sow the seeds in pots. The verb to sow can be used in the figurative sense as well. You obviously can't sow the wind, can you? This is a proverb that means every step or action of a person will have its consequences. If someone, for example, hurts others, consequently, he will get the same in future. Another pair of English homophones with their meanings and examples is toad, toad. A toad is a small animal similar to a frog that has dry brown skin and lives mostly on land. For example, a toad has a distinctive yellow stripe down its back. Both a toad and a frog are amphibians. Toads changed their skin color to blend in with their new environment. And this word, toad, is a simple past or past participle form of the verb to tow. It means to pull a car or a boat along, fastened behind another vehicle or boat. For example, the damaged boats were towed to safety. The road was closed while the vehicles that had been involved in the accident were towed away. Or you can say were towed off. You are not allowed to park here. Your car will be towed away. The next group is vane, vane, vane. A noun vane is a flat, narrow part of a fan or propeller, for example, that turns because of the pressure of air against it. For example, those vanes were huge. The vanes on that windmill were broken. Do the vanes in the figure rotate clockwise or counterclockwise? The adjective vain means unsuccessful or of no value. For example, it was vain to pretend to himself that he was not disappointed. A vain attempt to avoid responsibility. It became obvious that all the complaints were in vain. The phrase in vain here means unsuccessfully. And a vein is a tube that carries blood to the heart from the other parts of the body. For example, I could feel the blood pulsing through my veins. The function of the veins is to carry blood to the heart. Royal blood ran in his veins. One more group of homophones is way, way, way. A way is a route, direction, or path. For example, Love will find a way. He elbowed his way to the front of the crowd. You can also say here, he pushed his way to the front of the crowd. We lost our way in the maze of narrow streets. The verb to weigh means to have particular weight. For example, this table weighs a lot. He weighs herself every morning. Your baggage must be weighed before it is put on the aircraft. And this word is the watery part of milk that remains after the formation of curds. For example, whey is a dairy product. Whey is used in bakery. Add a glass of milk or whey and stir well the dough. And the last pair for today is yolk, yolk. A yolk of an egg is the yellow part in the middle. For example, only the yolk contains cholesterol. I like eggs lightly cooked so that the yolk is still runny. Separate the yolks from the whites. And this yolk is a long piece of wood which is tied across the necks of two animals, such as, for example, oxen, to make them walk close together when they are pulling a plow. For example, to put a yoke on oxen. Two oxen yoked to a plow walked wearily up and down the field. The yoke of slavery. So that was the last homophone for today. I hope you understand that I couldn't include all of them in this video, otherwise you'd get bored and wouldn't finish the lesson. And this is the main secret of productive studying. You should never try to grasp a huge amount of materials at once. And even if you managed, you wouldn't be able to continue at the same pace for long. It is always much better to study for 10 to 15 minutes a day than make yourself sit for 3 hours in a row, but once a week. Everyday practice will benefit you for sure, while learning once a month can just make the impression that English is too difficult and impossible to master. Keep that in mind. That is why I've made a short video lesson for you today. Come back and rewatch it as often as you can. Pronounce homophones and example sentences after me, and very soon you will notice that you are using these phrases in your speech. Believe me. Let me know in the comments if you want some exercises to practice these homophones. And don't forget about your homework. Choose one pair or one group of today's homophones and make sentences with them. Share your examples in the comment section. And also subscribe to my channel and press the bell to be notified when my new videos are uploaded. If you have any questions, please write, and I will be waiting for you in my other lessons. See you soon. Take care.